Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today we're going to be looking at my September TBR. So it is fall and I am super excited about that for whatever reason. I love to read mystery thrillers and horror novels, and I know a lot of other people on the internet do it as well around fall time. And so you will see some of that on my TBR. However, I do have a spooky TBR planned for you guys at some point this month. That video will be coming out where I really focus in on mystery thrillers and horror novels. I will have in that video some darker reads along with some lighter reads for those of you who don't like the really dark books. So that'll come out soon, but on to my TBR for September. One of the things I typically do in my TBR videos is talk about the books in the previous month that I did not get to. And so I'll do that here. I do plan on reading all of these. I just didn't have time in August, and I tended to focus more on the simpler reads in August because it was a little bit overwhelming for me. And so some of these books just kind of got put aside, but I am still interested. So I think I have 5 books that I didn't get to on my August TBR that I will get to eventually, probably before the end of the year, but just not right now. So the first is 1,000 Recipes for Revenge. The second is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which I really want to get to. It's Brandon Sanderson's Secret Project number 3. And I just didn't want to read it while I was overwhelmed. I want to read it while I'm in a good headspace because I absolutely know I'm going to love it. And I don't want anything to sully it in my head. I also didn't get to Labyrinth's Heart, which wasn't really part of my TBR. It was more of a hopeful. That was the 3rd book in the Rook and the Rose series, and it's a book that really takes a lot of brain power. And so that's one of the reasons I didn't pick up in August, but I definitely will get to this one by the end of the year. It was a pre-order for me. And so yeah, I will get to it eventually, just not right now. I also had 3 books from the Tackle Your TBR that I didn't get to, once again, just because August was not a great month for me. And so that was Death Note, I didn't get to, Memory Called Empire, and The Daughter of the Pirate King. So all of those books I will eventually get to, just not right now. If you are interested in the books that I did read in August, I'm going to be posting a video shortly for my highs and lows of August and July, and there are a lot of really good reads that I got to. As for the books that I do plan on reading in September, I have a ton of buddy reads this month that I'm really excited about, starting with Greymist Fair. And this is a book I had never heard of before. I was watching Nala's channel, and I will put her channel name up here. I always flip 2 of the words in it, and so I'll just put her channel name up here so I don't mess up her channel name. But Nala was talking about Greymist Fair in one of her, I think, most anticipated Reads of the Year videos, and it's a YA book. I don't know anything else about it off the top of my head because at the time of watching her video, I thought the synopsis sounded really good, but I don't want to go back and read it because I kind of want to go into it blind now that I knew that I was originally interested. Nala does read more YA than me, and I've been getting away from YA because I find that I don't enjoy it. And but she has mentioned on her channel that, you know, she wants people to not get away from YA and still reach for it. And so yeah, I'm really excited to read this with her. I think I'm gonna love it. The next buddy read is The Murder Wheel. This one I'm reading with Leandra at Leandra the TBR 0. This is the 2nd book in the Joseph Spector series, which is, the first book was Death and the Conjurer, which I read a couple months ago, or last month. I've read it recently, and it is a mystery series featuring a man named Joseph Spector, who is a bit of a magician, and he helps the detectives solve these murders. It's really fun how he describes the clues that lead him to the decisions that he's made. I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm excited to get to the second one with Leandra. The last buddy read I have is The Grace of Kings, and I am reading this with a group of individuals over on Kirsten's channel, The Reading Nymph. And Kirsten has a Discord that we vote for books every month to read together, and Grace of Kings won for September. Grace of Kings is a book that I picked up in maybe July, and I tried to read it on audio. It wasn't sinking in, and so I decided I should probably read it physically, but it's a little bit of a chunk. and which I love chunky books, you guys know that, but it was a little intimidating, and so I kind of put it down for a little bit, and it came up on Kirsten's Discord, and I was really excited that I get to read this with a whole bunch of people and talk about it, because I do think that it's going to be a book that's rather complex. So I'm excited to get to this one as well. The next read is definitely caused by me getting into spooky season, and that is Weyward. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this, and this could be a hit or miss for me, because this is a gothic historical fantasy. I can't remember the woman's name who is in the book, but it has a present day timeline and a like way in the past timeline. And the present day timeline is a woman who's trying to escape the city, and I'm not sure why she's trying to escape, if it's like stress related reasons or if she's in danger, I'm not quite sure. But she ends up going to this cottage that her family used to own, and it was it's been passed down, and she knows that one of her like great aunts owned this cottage and was hunted as a witch, and so was involved in like, I don't know if she was involved in witchcraft or if they hunted her unjustly, but like some weird things start going down in the cottage. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody talk about this. I don't think that this is like super creepy, but just from reading the synopsis, I did get creepy vibes. So we'll see if that's right. And like I said, it could be hit or miss, because gothic books are not always my favorite, but I have really enjoyed some of them. So we'll see. Next is another book that was inspired by the fall, and that is Thornhedge. I would have picked this up regardless because this is a T. Kingfisher book. I can't remember when I saw that this was coming out, but I didn't realize T. Kingfisher was coming out with a book this year. And when this popped up, I was like, yes, immediately have to read this. And it just became available on Libby. So I'm excited that I will get to this. If you haven't heard of Thornhedge, it is a fairy tale retelling by T. Kingfisher. And I think that it's supposed to be a dark fairy tale, or maybe like a fairy tale on its head. The synopsis, the piece of the synopsis that I read, there was only like one sentence that I read, talks about a toad-looking princess, or a toad-shaped heroine is what they called her, and then a gentle knight, and how kind of everything goes crazy, or like nothing turns out or nothing is as it seems. I'm really intrigued in this. I love T. Kingfisher's writing, and so yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with this book. Next on my list is for my 5-star predictions video. I am predicting that Fireborne will be a 5-star read for me. I really enjoyed Fourth Wing, and I've heard multiple people tell me that Fireborne is better. This book is very highly recommended by Elliot Brooks, and then I believe Brittany at Brittany Loves Reading also read this recently, and like I said, multiple people have told me this is actually better than Fourth Wing, and so that is why it ended up on my 5-star predictions list. But I mean, who can go wrong with dragons, right? The next book is one I'm really excited for, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it, which makes me nervous, because maybe there's a reason that nobody's talking about it. But this is a horror novel, and it is one of my anticipated releases of the year, and it just came out this month. It's called Wild Spaces, and I think I talked about this recently, maybe in my anticipated releases video that I've done, but this book is about a young boy. It's a coming of age story, and he, I think for all intents and purposes, he is a normal young boy, and he is reaching, I think, the age of puberty, and his grandfather, who is estranged from the family, comes into their lives, and weird things start happening to the boy. And this cover had me, I didn't even read the synopsis before I put this on my TBR, because this cover just intrigues me. I love the fact that it has tentacles. I love the color scheme. I don't know why, but this just caught my eye, and it sounds intriguing. I want to know, why strange things happen to the boy. I want to know what the grandfather has to do with it. Yeah, I'm intrigued. The next book I think you're gonna find a little surprising to have on my TBR. As you know, I do not read a ton of nonfiction books. However, this book has been recommended to me by several people, one of which is one of my really close colleagues read this book and absolutely loved it and ranted and raved about it for weeks. So I was like, well, I gotta give it a try. And that is I'm Glad My Mom Died. I know that this book is a memoir written by, I can't remember her name, but the actress who played iCarly, I believe, and her relationship with her mother and her process of being a child actress and the things that she had to deal with that, some of the mental repercussions of that as a kid. And so I think it sounds interesting. I don't read a lot of nonfiction for a couple of different reasons. I do definitely have to be in the right headspace to read nonfiction. They do take more mental power for me because I don't know why, but I feel like when I'm reading a nonfiction book, I can't do anything else. I have to be completely and wholly focused on the book. I don't know if I feel like the author deserves my full attention because they're talking about their own life, but I don't know. I pay attention to my fantasy books, but I guess I can do that while I'm doing other things, and I feel like I can still absorb the story, and I don't feel it that way with nonfiction. So we'll see how this goes. I'm intrigued, to say the least. I think that it will be an interesting story. I know that it's going to be a hard read because of the content, but yeah, I'm interested to learn more about her life. Next is The Will of the Many, and this book I'm going to put a question mark next to as far as whether or not I'm going to get to it in September, because it currently is, I think, up for vote in Kirsten's Discord for the October book read of the month, and if I can read it with other people, I think I will do that. So this will either be a September or an October read. I am still really excited about it. I have not read the entire synopsis. I read the first paragraph, and it talks about this person who is in some sort of academy. I don't know if it's a secret academy. I don't know if it's like a magic school. I don't know. I didn't read into it that much, but it talks about how them being involved in this just gives power to the people above them, and it gave me the Trader Baru Cormorant vibes. And yeah, so I'm interested to see where it goes, how big it is, and I've heard a lot of people say that the writing in this book is just beautiful. So I'm excited to get to this one. Next is another book inspired by the fall weather, and that is Death in Her Hands. This book was recommended by Michaela at Michaela Reads, and I believe it was in her video regarding books that are not like other books in their genre. And so books that are kind of unexpected or not predictable. This is, I think, shelved on Goodreads as mystery thriller, but I don't know that it really fits into those categories. I've heard that it's very psychological. A woman walks into the woods, finds a note that says something about there being a dead body, or like, here's where such and such was murdered. You won't ever find the body or find the killer, and whoever wrote the note says that they didn't kill him. And this woman who finds this note becomes obsessed with this note and the mystery behind it. And I think it's a story of her obsession and how it affects her mental faculties. And I think from reading that part of the synopsis, it almost sounded a little bit like a fever dream. So I'm not sure what to expect. I do know that this book is very divisive on Goodreads. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. So I'm curious to see what camp I fall into. Next is a book that was recommended to me by Jenny Chasteen. Man, I have a lot of recommendations in this TBR video. So this is Fawkes. This is the next book in my Fantasy Genre Blends series. I'll actually be able to put out a video for you guys. Episode 6 is coming out later this month. And so be looking forward to that. This is a historical fiction. Is that called a historical fantasy novel? I believe it's Regency era, maybe. And there is the main character, I can't remember, well, his name is Fawkes, and he is turning to stone for whatever reason, and the only way out of it is for him to help in his father's assassination plot. And so yeah, I think that this sounds really intriguing. Being that this is Fantasy Genre Blends, not only is it historical fantasy, but I also believe that it's mystery as well. So yeah, I hit 3 genres. I'm hoping to love it. And the last book on my TBR is another recommendation. This came from Kirsten at the Reading Nymph, and that is The Stranger Times. I haven't heard of anyone talk about this other than Kirsten, and I'm intrigued by its premise. So The Stranger Times is a play on, I believe, the New York Times or any newspaper Times. I know that the New York Times isn't the only one that has that name, but there is a newspaper that writes articles on the oddities that are happening in this world. This is a fantasy / mystery, and the main character of this book, I'm pretty sure her name was Helen. I don't know why that stuck in my head, but whatever her name is, we'll call her Helen, gets a job at this newspaper and ends up finding a mystery in one of the articles that she writes and gets pulled into a kind of a tailspin with this. And that's all I really know about it. I'm intrigued to read from a journalist's point of view. I think that that will be a nice little touch. And the fact that when reading the synopsis to this, or at least a part of the synopsis to this, it sounded like it had a whole bunch, like a big cast of characters as far as the newspaper is concerned. Like you have like, I can't remember which character was which, but it was like the cranky editor and like the quirky best friend, or like it seemed like it had a good cast of characters in it. And so I'm excited to get to this, another mystery for fall. So yeah. So those are the books that I plan on reading in September. We'll see how it goes. My August TBR, as you guys know, I had 5 books that I didn't get to, but you know, high hopes. My goal is always to read all of them, but we'll see. Time will tell. If you guys have any books that you're really excited about reading in September, or if you have any books that you're excited about reading in the fall, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to add to my list of books to pull this time of year. I don't know why it is, I mean, other than Halloween, obviously, but I just really get into the mood for mystery thrillers and horror novels and like cozy things as well. So yeah, if you have any recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments. I would love to chat with you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.